I was wanting to show you what I did to my air compressor. It's a Ingersoll ran 7.5 horse two-stage compressor. It's just a normal 80-gallon tank. It does have a automatic starter so that the motor doesn't have such a hard time starting. Okay, what I wanted to do was I put a cooler on it to cool the air coming out of the pump. So let me show you what I did. All right, now, so I wanted to take this copper line and run, not this one, I wanted to take the copper line coming out of the pump, out of the high pressure side, and run it to a cooler. All right, to do that, let me show you this fitting. This fitting was the fitting that was inside the high pressure side. And what these fittings are different about is that they're double flared. So the way this thing is made is okay. Okay, so the fitting sets, okay, finally, there it goes. It sets inside of it. So to get it out of where it went from the compressor to the tank, it was very difficult to get it out without messing it up because it's hard tubing. It's very solid. So I had to turn it. I was gonna, at first I was just gonna angle this fitting this way and run it over to there and then down and into the cooler, but I couldn't do that because when I pulled this fitting out, basically when I pulled it out, I had to turn it like that, and it was so much force on it that it made a nick in it, and it was difficult getting it out. So I wasn't real sure about it not leaking. So what I did was I went to Home Depot and I bought some soft copper tubing, a 1/2 inch inner diameter, and it's basically 5/8 outer diameter. So I bought a 1/2 inch MTP fitting to a 5/8 inch flare. And I did that for both fittings, the one coming out and the one going in. Now the reason I went with copper part of the way, and the airline, I bought that also off of Amazon. I got the cooler and the blue line because I wanted to reroute my airlines in the shop. I had them all PVC and one of them blew out, and I was afraid it was gonna be dangerous with 175 PSI on it. But so these copper lines are double flared, and you need to single flare the new ones. So I bought a flare tool and flared them. But I wanted to run the cooler and into another line to go to where it would drain the water off. I didn't want to just run it back into the tank. So I built this. I seen this on YouTube. A guy had this made, and I first saw it at Ingersoll Rand. It's a basically it's a water separator. What it is inside this top flange, it's actually a 4-inch PVC or 4-inch steel pipe, 1/4 inch wall. And I took a cap and I cut it out so that it set down inside of here a little ways. And then on the bottom side of it, I notched it and put a straight piece across the tube vertically like this. And supposedly as the air comes through this line, it comes into the tubing, it hits that flat wall and then water condenses on it and drops down into the bottom. And it does too. When you run this thing for a little while, it condenses a lot of water. Some water still gets into the tank though from, I guess, the amount of air going in it. But it's a lot cooler. It's not as near as much water on it. And I was going to show you what I did. I wired it up so that I put a 230 volt to DC volt inverter. And I basically ran the wire into the box here, and then I went through to the load side of the magnetic starter, and when I turn this switch on, I'll show you how it works. The compressor is going to come on. Right now it's just at start where it would start up, okay? So I'll show you how, and then this fan's going to kick on. Now the fan kicked on. It's blowing pretty good. Down in this area right here. What I did was I made this bracket out of steel. This bracket right here, it wraps all the way around. I'll show you another picture of it in a minute. I'll show you a picture of what I made. I made it out of steel, and I just welded it together and folded it so that the fan would mount to the back side. But warm up in this corner, and it's cool, pretty cool down here in this corner. But that inverter shuts off when the air compressor stops. The only thing is when it shuts off, now the air that leaks off of it is not just emptying just this one line anymore. Now it's emptying the line, this tube, all this area, and this all the way up to the valve. Now there's reed valves in the pump that prevent air from coming out this way. Or there's reed valves somewhere in it that it prevents it from leaking out the tank. Now, the temperature on this is pretty cool. I can't even touch that. Woo! That is hot. That is super hot. All right, I'll let you know when it gets to a point. All right, it just shut off, and the fan's shutting down, and there went off the inverter. Now the air's leaking out, and it leaks out for a little while. That's the only inconvenience with that. All right, I'll show you what the inside of that tank looks like. All right, this is the way I drew it up when I first started it. This is the water tank. It's actually a water separator that I made. So what I did was I took this 4-inch tubing and I welded a cap in each end, and then I drilled a hole for another fitting to go at the bottom for the drain, and then I welded these two fittings on the side. Hey buddy, this is my part that I made. It's a bracket that I cut and bent so that it sits down flush on there, but it also has a raised portion in the middle, so the middle sets up, and so that it sits on there flush like that. All right, so next thing I got to do is I got to make the bracket that holds it up on the wall.